Please welcome today's presenter, Mike Lautensack. Mike is a member of Tri-County and a broker of record of his own leasing and property management company. Thank you, Mike.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Let me share my screen. Yeah, as Paul had mentioned, happy to take questions. It'd be far more interesting if we make this question and answer. There is a chat. I will do my best to monitor it. If you have a question, you can use the chat or just interrupt or open up your mic and interrupt, and I'll be happy to address any questions. But let's talk about why real estate agents should consider rental leasing in their business. So there's a lot going on in the real estate market, and to this day, most real estate agents prefer to do sales, and that's great. But today I'm going to talk about an alternative to that and consider leasing in your business management. All right, so again, Mike Lautensack. I am the broker owner of Del Valle Realty and Property Management. I've been in real estate for almost 30 years. We currently manage about 1,350 rental units throughout Philadelphia and the suburbs. I personally have bought, rehabbed, and rented and sold many properties over the years, continue to do so. I've probably signed, and this is purely a guess, 5,000 leases. We've probably done over 1,000 evictions. We collect about $1.6 million in rent each month, and we probably do about almost $4 million in maintenance services every year. So, this has given me a lot of expertise in this area, and we're going to go through that today. I will tell you, I'm very proud to tell you that I've written a book. This book just came out about a month ago, Landlords Secrets. And they say everybody should write one book. So I've written one, and I actually probably will write another one or two. It's been a very interesting experience. Took almost 2 years, but I think it was well worth it. All of my tips and tools and strategies on how to manage properties are in this book. And if you want to purchase it, I think it's like $6 on Amazon, and I would greatly appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about stats and kind of where the real estate market is today. You may be aware there's about 1.5 million realtors nationally. And we do about 4 million sales per year across the country. And if you do the math, and that's assuming every sale has two sides, that averages out to 5 or 6 sales per year per realtor. That's not a lot. The current inventory today is about 660,000 homes. That's down dramatically from where it was in years past. And in terms of sales, this is becoming problematic for real estate agents. It's becoming a tight market in terms of getting your, sales. So this has continued to put pressure on real estate agents and their commissions. The average realtor earns about $56,000, but if you figure out they have to pay their own FICA, which is 15%, that's really like $48,000 a year. Now, that's not a terrible salary, but it's not great either. So, but that's really not the truth. The truth is that 25% of the realtors probably do around 75% of the sales. So the top people are doing most of the sales and obviously getting most of the commissions. Realtors with less than 2 years, average earnings is $9,600. And then you factor into that other expenses are going to eat away at your income, like auto expenses, marketing, broker fees, all the other little expenses that as an agent, you have to pay out of your pocket. Essentially, you're a small business and you have to pay these fees. And it's eating away at your income. Earnings, the average agent, if you figured that out on an hourly basis, is about $23 an hour. Again, not terrible, but also not great. And then you factor into that income is very inconsistent. So you might have 2 or 3 months where everything is great. But your bills are not going to be sporadic. So your bills are coming in every month. Your rent, your car payment, your grocery bills, your kids' schools, all of that is happening every single month. But your income might have 2 or 3 great months, and then you might have 4 or 5 bad months. So it kind of makes it difficult during those bad months to get those bills paid that are happening every single month. So that continues to make it very difficult to be a realtor and makes it stressful in terms of, making sure that you can support your family and do what you need to do. And then you add to that real estate market cycles make it even more challenging. So, obviously we're in a down market, and we've been in a down market now for probably, what, 2 years, a year and a half. So, it will turn, it will become much better, there's no question, but who knows when that's going to happen. So that also puts pressure on all these other things that, you might be having a good year, but if the market's down, it's going to suppress your income. It's going to definitely be a challenge. All right, this is a monthly report. It was a few months old, but by Alignable saying that 45% of real estate agents who own their firms said they had trouble paying their rent in their offices in November. 45% is a massive number. That means almost 1 in 2 real estate firms are struggling to pay their rent. I mean, this is really quite significant. Um, this is really, to me, it's quite shocking that almost 1 out of 2 agents are struggling. Excuse me. Nationally, 80% of agents quit after the first year in business. 83% leave the business after 2 years. So this is another indication that it's very difficult, particularly difficult for new agents to come into the business. Any questions, comments, thoughts? If you do, please help or ask questions or put something in the chat. All right, the Consumer Federation of America reports that 49% of agents sold one or no homes in the past year, suggesting there's a really oversupply of agents in the current housing market. I think that's fairly obvious to most people. The 1.5 million agents is too many agents given we're doing only 4 million sales per year. To help overcome these challenges, agents rely solely on home sales should consider diversifying into property management. Obviously, that's what we're talking about today. Are agents doing leasing? According to the National Association of Realtors, only about 36% of realtors are doing any kind of rental transactions. And that might only be one transaction, we don't know, but it's a relatively low amount of agents that are currently doing any sort of leasing. All right, just any questions on that, comments? Okay. Is there a better approach? I'm going to suggest there is. So most agents traditionally do the sales model, right, where they sell a property. They go out and they do some marketing, they buy leads, whatever, friends, families, they do what they need to do to generate leads and sales. And they get a listing contract or they help a buyer, they get a contract, a property under a contract. Ultimately, that contract gets closed and they make a commission. And then they kind of start the process over again. They go back to the marketing, they go back to their friends and families, and they start the process over. And this is the way a lot of agents work. So they get 1, maybe 2 sales, they close, then they go back to work to get more. And this is the process. I'm calling this essentially a linear model, meaning you're doing the properties 1 + 1 = 2. By adding leasing to your business model, I think you can kind of essentially create a more exponential type of business model. So if you were to add leasing into your model, the two kind of feed off of each other. So now they start to feed each other. The rental business would feed the sales business. The sales business would feed the rental business. And please understand, as I talk about this, I am not suggesting anybody stop doing sales. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that you take your current sales and you add leasing to it to kind of feed each other. So renters will become buyers down the road. So we're going to talk about this. Every renter you talk to could potentially be a buyer 1 year, 5, 10 years down the road. Who knows? But there's a good likelihood renters become buyers down the road. And you now have a relationship with that renter. Landlords are always looking to buy new properties, repeat business. Landlords are a very powerful source of business. Sale clients. So if you do sell a property, they're going to know people that are looking to rent or other landlords. So again, this feeds each other. Both these models, the leasing model and the sales model, kind of feed into each other. So what I'm suggesting is 1 + 1 = 3 in terms of this model. All right. Any comments, questions? All right. Home purchases. The average person buys a new home once every 12 years. So if you get a sale today, you're going to be waiting 12 years to get the next sale. And that's assuming you continue a relationship with that person. That's a tough model on any business when your repeat customer comes back every 12 years. Now let's contrast that with renters. The average renter stays less than 24 months. So there's repeat business every 2 years. Real estate investors are buying multiple properties. Hey, real estate investors have been really one of the real strong points through this entire downturn over the last year or two. The real estate investors have continued to buy, and they probably will. Interest rates have slowed them down a little bit, but real estate investors have continued to buy through this down period. So again, this is kind of somebody you want to have in your business model, is dealing with real estate investors. They're very high activity. They're buying properties, they're selling properties, they're flipping properties. These are the type of individuals that you want to kind of be dealing with. Strong market. Based on a recent conducted nationwide study, 50% of millennials in the US are renting as opposed to 37 nearly 5 years ago. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this. Real estate prices have gone up. Interest rates have gone up, and it's really squeezed a lot of people out of the market, the purchase market, and into the rental market. So this is what this is reflecting. But again, when you do have one piece of the business is slowing down, it would be awfully nice to have another piece of the businesses that's picking up, and you can move your business model back and forth between the two. So if sales are down, you spend more time focused on leasing. If leasing's down, you spend more time in sales. You kind of go back and forth. And right now, renting is very, very popular. And we see that, not only that, because rents have gone up over the last 3 years, probably close to 25%. Rental Beast is a service. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I just want to talk about this quote. A lot of real estate professionals are recognizing that they may no longer be able to rely on a steady stream of buyers and sellers in the market. Rentals are becoming an integral part of real estate agents' business strategy, allowing them to weather the ups and down cycles. So basically, that's what I'm suggesting. This is the model of the future in terms of real estate agents. And this is reflected in this. And I'll talk about Rental Beast in a little bit, some of the services that they offer. All right, so why does leasing make sense? There's really short-term and long-term benefits to you as an agent, and we'll kind of walk you through those. And the first, maybe the most interesting of all of them, is quick paydays. Most leasing takes only 1 to 3 weeks. to complete, and you'll get paid very quickly. So if you were to start leasing a property today, potentially you've got a payday coming to you in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that's really one of the key components here. Yes, it is smaller payments, no question. But once you get started in leasing, you can have multiple paydays happening all the time, and a much quicker payday is going to serve you well in terms of your bills, your mortgage, and whatnot. You can typically do 4 to 8 leases per month while still working on your sales business. Probably could even do more, 8 to 10, if your business or sales portion of your business is down, and may well be right now. So there's nothing to say 4 to 8 leases per month is not an extraordinary amount. So, if you want to play with some numbers and kind of calculate what kind of income you can make, these are kind of the numbers you might want to be kind of using. I mean, we expect our agents to lease somewhere between 6 and 8, maybe even 10 leases per month. The average rental across Philadelphia is $1,500 to $2,500. And typically, as a commission, you're going to get some percentage of that, or maybe a fixed number, but whichever, but you're going to get typically a percentage of that number as a commission. And the average rental, we're talking about 1,500, and it's more consistent income flow between sales. And that allows you, like I spoke about earlier, to kind of modulate or smooth out your income. So yes, it's great to have a big commission, but if it's happening every 3 months, how do you pay your bills in between? Well, this is how you do it. The consistency of the leasing process should allow an agent, or they should be able to build a model that your rental commissions pay your monthly bills. And then your sales commissions are extra. That could be saved or invested, but they are not to pay your monthly bills. That is the point here, is the rental commissions kind of get you through the month. And then if you do a sales commission, that's extra gravy kind of on top of that. Leasing commission consistent over the term of the lease agreement. Typically, leasing commissions are paid up front at the time that the lease starts. That is the way most property managers work. There might be other companies out there that do it over the term of the lease. I don't know. But we do it as a lump sum payment at the beginning of the lease. And I think most property managers do the same. Can I use my name to run a rental business, or have to get my broker's permission first? Yes, you must run it through a brokerage, and you cannot use your personal name or even your personal business name. It must be a real estate brokerage company. All right, so we kind of went through the short-term benefits, quick paydays, more consistent income, kind of meeting your needs in terms of expenses and whatnot, and then using sales kind of as a bonus. So let's talk about the long-term benefits. All right, one of the biggest is building a database much quicker, and my own staff knows I pound this all the time. This concept of developing a network. And that network can be built through leasing, because you're going to be dealing with 5, 10, 20 or more renters per lease that are going to ask you questions, inquire about the property. They may see it, they may not rent it, but you can capture their name and email, and that allows you to start to network with them. And already you know a lot about that person. You know where they're looking to live, approximately their price point. You already have some great information about that person that over time, you can then start to develop that network And those 5, 10, or 20 people are going to become buyers down the road. And you can be the one that helps them buy their property because you've developed a relationship with that person. Hopefully, you'd be sending them information over the next months and years. Video articles, information, helping them, how to buy their first home, do a first-time home buyer seminar to these folks and kind of nurture these relationships. But this will become your future business. A year, 2, 3 years down the road, these folks will be the people that are buying from you and they'll become your clients. Learn your local real estate market. You'll be seeing and going into all kinds of condos, large rental buildings, neighborhoods. You will develop a real expertise, kind of what's going on in the market, what areas are kind of hotter than other areas. You'll learn about rental pricing in different areas and different buildings. You will start to become much more immersed into the local real estate market than you will be with sales. Typically, sales, you get one property, you show that for a couple of months, and you learn about that little area, but you're not learning about all the other areas. So, because of the activity, you're going to be doing a lot more out in different areas and learning about different areas. And this all becomes part of your expertise. It becomes your persona that you are now the expert because you know these markets, you know what's going on in different areas. All right, advance number 3. Renters become future buyers. As you lease more properties and you expand your network, again, I'm talking about this network all the time. You start with hundreds or even 1,000 names and emails. They will become future buyers or referral sources. Again, so as you grow this list, these are the folks that will become your future clients and referral sources. Don't forget that. Fine, they may not buy a house, but I'm sure they know some people that will, and they could potentially become referral sources. So it's important, one, that you start to capture their names and emails, you network with them, you nurture that relationship, and ultimately that will come back to you as future business. Referrals. You can turn every rental into a referral source. They have friends, they have families that are probably looking to buy or rent. So everybody you're talking to, please kind of nurture that relationship. And fine, they may not rent the property they just saw 5 minutes ago, but they may have somebody who is looking to buy or rent. And it's important that you capture that and you nurture that and bring them along as a potential client source. All right, we have a question. If my broker approves, should I set up an LLC to run rentals? I'd have to, well, that's a fairly in-depth question. I would have to talk about it. One, again, you must, to lease properties, you must go through a brokerage company, either your current employer or your own if you want, but you can't run it out of your own private company. Then you find and connect with landlords to begin to add this to your business model. We can talk about that. It's going to be a lot of things. One, just becoming active in the market is the first thing. So once you're active in the market, potentially you're trying to lease the property for a landlord and you would develop a relationship with that person. If you start to do some marketing and things of that nature, renters are going to see it, but potentially landlords are also going to see it. So it's probably a combination of a lot of different things, but it's ultimately you have to get out there, you have to kind of get into the market and then start to grow and develop that. All right, advance number 5, Google and Facebook reviews. Another big thing that today I push very hard for my own company. Today, Google and Facebook reviews are so important, and they're just as important for you as an individual agent. Everybody, the first thing they do if they're going to a restaurant or anywhere, an apartment complex, the first thing they do is they check Google and Facebook reviews. That's just simply what everybody does today. So it's really important that everybody here, one, understand that and start to use it to your advantage. So how do you use it here? Everybody you talk to, everybody you show an apartment to, have an automated email that goes out to them the next day. Hey, would you mind leaving a Google or Facebook review and providing them a link? And over time, you'll get some of those. And then imagine having dozens or even hundreds of positive reviews. So when you go to a listing appointment and you've got 50 positive Google reviews, what do you think that client's going to think of you? It's going to elevate your status enormously, as opposed to they try to Google you or Facebook your name and you have one review or something, you know. Um, So I would suggest starting to do this with everybody you meet and develop your Google and Facebook reviews. This is the way of the world today. Without it, you're going to struggle. This is your way to be perceived as an authority, to be perceived as an expert in your field, and it's done through Google and Facebook today. Any comments, questions, thoughts on this? Agree with this? Right. Advantage number 6, and this is another big one in my mind. You're going to learn the real estate language and documents. I know people might suggest that this is minor and no big deal, but you will become much better at speaking the real estate language because of all the conversations you'll be having. So instead of having 1 or 2 conversations a month about real estate, you're going to have dozens, and you're going to have dozens every day. You're going to be talking the real estate language. I've been in this business 30 years, and I can sense this right away when somebody calls me. I can sense whether they've been in the industry a while. I can sense just by their language and their comfort with the language. It's an important thing, and it really buyers and sellers can also sense that. They can sense that you don't have comfort with the language, that talking about some real estate topics is something you're not comfortable with. So it's important that this never-ending conversations that are going on all day help you become really comfortable with talking the real estate language. You'll also become much better at real estate forms because you're going to be preparing a lot of leases and other documents, and you'll become much more comfortable doing that, particularly if you're new in the business. Filling out a listing contract might happen once every 3 months. Well, leases, you're going to be doing, 4, 5, 10 of them per month. You're going to become much more comfortable with filling out these forms, what they should have, what they shouldn't have, and even talking about them with potential tenants. So again, this may not seem like the most important one, but do not underestimate the value of your language on your future earnings. I think it's a big one. I can tell right away when somebody's an expert or not an expert simply by their language and their comfort with conversations. All right, advantage number 7, and we're going to do 10 of them. Meeting other realtors and brokers. You'll be meeting all kinds of other agents or brokers in your leasing process and getting your name out there to develop your professional reputation. You're going to be dealing, again, 4, 6, 8, 10 leases per month. You're going to be dealing with other agents on the other side of the transaction, brokers, and who knows where this leads. Getting your name out there is very important in any business, particularly real estate. So getting your name out there, getting your reputation built is a big one internally within the business. All right, another big one, you'll become a much better investor yourself. By doing leases, you gain incredible knowledge on what renters are going to like or dislike. Do they like granite countertops, or what types of cabinets do they want? How big? What amenities do they want? You're going to learn all of this stuff because you're doing a lot of taking tenants through buildings. They will tell you what they want and don't want. And this is valuable knowledge when you want to do, if you're going to be buying real estate yourself, and you should. All real estate agents should be buying real estate themselves. It's important that you start to develop that process. But it's this knowledge and this extra skill that you're going to have that'll make you far more valuable in terms of your own properties. So something about knowing what areas are hot, what areas are not. Or if you're doing flips, you'll know exactly what the renters are going to want. Which is better, 4 bedrooms, 1 bath, or 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. You're going to learn that information, and you're going to have that knowledge and skill. All right, almost done. Potential to manage your properties as you become more active. I think this was the question. In the leasing, you're going to kind of get introduced to property owners. You're going to talk to them. You may be on the other side of the transaction, but regardless, you're going to be interacting with them. Who knows? They may want to hire you to manage their properties, and that converts into a monthly income as you can charge fees to manage their properties. So that's a tremendous ability to kind of interact with these folks. And these folks sometimes might just own a few properties, but they might own hundreds. You never know. All right, advantage number 10 is another big one, activity. During down markets, one of the problems is everybody kind of goes into slow motion because there's not a lot of activity going on, and it's hard to make good money in slow motion. It's just simply reality. Leasing gets you out there, gets you moving at high speed. You're talking to people, you're filling out forms, you're visiting properties, you're talking to landlords. It just gets you kind of revved up and kind of up to high speed. So when the sales market does come back, you're kind of ready. You're already moving at full speed, where everybody else is kind of been in hibernation. So this is a big one. It keeps you active. As I said, I think doing sales and leasing as a combo allows you to move back and forth. So as one market slows down, you can kind of move some of your energy and time to the other market that's doing better. Right. Before I start this, any questions, comments? All right. So how do you get into rental leasing? You can do it within your current company. Talk to your broker or top producers and see if they have rental listings that you could help with. Offer to promote or set up open houses. Talk to folks within your company. Find out if they are doing some leasing. I understand some companies don't do it. Others probably do it, but they're probably looking for somebody to help them do it within the company. So this is a great opportunity, but start the conversation, find out what the policy is, what they could do to help you, what you could do to help them, and see if there's some things there that you can do. That's probably the simplest and easiest way to get started. If that's not an avenue that might work, then think about other things like go on to Bright, find out, maybe pick some area that's near your home or near your office and find a group of listings, rental listings that offer a co-op fee. And then I would contact the listing agent and essentially ask permission to market and show that property. And by asking permission, I would have a conversation with the listing agent about whether they would allow you to even advertise the property, whether they won't. It's a sensitive area, I know that, so I would have that conversation, find out what you're permitted to do, and then you could use that as a marketing. And if it's 5 minutes from your house and somebody wants to see a property, great. You go show it, 5 minutes, boom. It's really simple. I would have 4 or 5 properties in a fairly small area and see if you could start to kind of grow that and develop it, or even a particular building that you might want to specialize in, or a particular neighborhood or development. You could do that and start to do some advertising on Facebook and some other sites about how you've got rental listings in XYZ neighborhood. and start to kind of get potential renters to reach out to you. As I mentioned, I would pick something very close to your home or office. There's just something about having a property that's a mile away. You can run out and show it and be back in 5 minutes. There's something very convenient about that. If you pick a property, it's 30 minutes away, 45 minutes away, I think you'll get tired of it pretty quickly. And it probably won't be a great experience. But if you only have to go a mile, sure, you run down there, even if the tenant doesn't show up, it's not the end of the world. So it just, I think it's a great way to get started. All right, we have a question. I'm working with a client now who happens to be my first sale lease. Right, so I'm not quite sure what the question is. All right, other property managers. So if you contact other property managers and ask them questions, what can you do to help them rent their properties? Talk to your current companies, see if you could co-op with somebody else, and potentially you can start to develop some relationships that way and kind of get into the rental business through that mechanism. There are dozens of property managers throughout Philadelphia now. When I started, there was almost nobody, but today there's probably 40 or 50 different companies that you could contact. Contact owners that are doing their own renting. This is a classic model. We used to do this many years ago. Find investors, property owners that are advertising their own properties for rent, and contact them and offer to help rent their properties. Demonstrate your expertise, your knowledge of the market, particularly now with the rents that are up so much over the last couple of years. It's absolutely incredible how most landlords are way under the market. They don't know what their own properties should rent for. This is great expertise that you can bring to the market and help them and guide them and develop that relationship with them. Again, capture their names and emails for future marketing. Right, and there's other income opportunities. So, for example, it's not big dollars, but it will add up. The application fees, the cost of an application is about $15 to $30. Today, there are numerous online application sites, and you can charge $40 to $50 for an application. So again, you're not going to get rich off of this, but it's small dollars, but it will happen a lot. You could have a property, you could have 5 or 10 applications for it. Ultimately, this kind of grows and builds, but this is an income opportunity that you could generate. Referral fees. Let's say the unit that you're renting needs some work, maybe paint, carpet, whatever. You could have a relationship with a maintenance company, and you could get a referral from the maintenance company to the property owner and get a referral fee. Most properties are going to need some work, and if the owner doesn't have a relationship with a maintenance company and you come and you suggest a company and they offer some good pricing, I mean, it's a great opportunity for you to develop a couple of relationships, put these people together, and get a fee for it in the middle. Renewal fees. There's nothing wrong with asking the property owner that if the tenant renews in another year or two, when that lease expires, that you get a renewal fee. So you could put that in the agreement that if they were to renew, that you get another fee down the road. I would highly suggest this. You could work out the numbers, but the potential of getting a renewal fee is definitely there. And that way, if that tenant continues to renew over the years, you kind of have a built-in income stream. All right, how to do credit checks for free? I don't know about doing them for free. Most property managers, including us, we do pay services that either do credit checks or more expansive credit applications. But typically they're going to charge you $15 to $30. That's kind of what I experience as kind of what the market is. As I mentioned, you could charge $40 to $50 and even higher. Some high-end condos, you could probably charge $75 and nobody would bat an eye. All right, another thing you could do, it's a possibility, is you could add language in the listing agreement to the lease that earns you a commission if the tenant buys the property. So it's not uncommon that a tenant moves in a property and a year or two down the road, they might want to buy it. Why not put some language in there that would earn you a fee if that were to happen? If this is the language we use, a little slightly modified, but if the agent places a tenant and the tenant buys a property during the term of this lease agreement, or within 12 months after its termination, agents will receive an existing tenant sales fee equal to X%. There's nothing wrong with putting that in the agreement. Potentially, you could earn a commission down the road. Okay, I did mention this earlier, Rental Beast. It is a free service for realtors because you're an AR membership. And I would definitely recommend it. They have a lot of different services and programs designed for real estate agents kind of tap into the leasing market. So they do have a lot of listings that you could co-op on. They do have like a CRM, and they have a number of other services in there. It is free, so I would suggest to check it out. And there's the link. If that's helpful, great. All right, so in conclusion, again, I will suggest that most agents do sales. It tends to be a little bit of a linear model, meaning you get a lot of work, you market, you get a sale, you start the process over again. And that's the way most agents kind of run their business. 1 + 1 is 2. I think by adding leasing, and it becomes more exponential, whereas the two models tend to feed each other. The two models can be moved around. When one's slow, the other can be more focused time and energy on the other market. So it allows the agent to kind of move around. It is a steadier stream of income, and it allows you to have your income and more in line with your expenses. So I think that's a big thing. I think it's a better long-term model for realtors to survive the ups and downs of the market. All right. That's the end. I'm happy to take questions.
All right,
Thanks, Mike. That was very,
folks.
very helpful.
So somebody asked me about the link. I don't know, Paula, maybe that can be sent out to people. I don't know.
The link for Rental Beast, so we will be providing the slides once we post this to our website, so it will be available there. Thank you. Unless, Mike, if you want to put it in the chat, I don't have it until I get the slides.
Yeah. I'll try, Wyatt. Maybe if there's any questions, let me know.
I was saying, Mike, thanks for doing this. I've done 3 rentals this year and just closed one yesterday. And like you said, it is good to get that periodic cash, just small amounts, but if you get more of them, I work with a lot of investors as well. And like you said, the repeat business is great. So yeah, it's great. Everything you said, completely agree.
Do you plan to expand that, or what you're thinking?
I don't know. I mean, I don't, it's a good question. I mean, to have 3 and it's like, all in, it was $5,000 for the 3. It was like $4,800 of income, but
Like ballpark, how much time do you think you spent on each one?
a couple hours, like maybe 5 hours max. Like the one that was just recently, that took a lot more time because the property was taken off the market, and so I was dealing directly with the owner, and then my clients who were looking to get the rental. So that took a little bit longer.
So what,
But
15
still,
hours?
I would say
5,000?
10 hours max on that one, and I made $1,200 on it.
Right.
On that one. So yeah, when you think about the 23, I never looked at it from a $23 per hour job that, in terms of what I never looked at it that way, in terms of how much money I make and how much time I spend in it. Maybe I should look at it that way. But yeah, when you take your $23 an hour and then I made 120 on this one. It's a lot better.
I agree 100%. And that's why I'm encouraging, that's why I'm doing this. I think agents should expand out their business.
Yeah, I
The more-
love the investors. I used to have a lot of rentals myself. So working with investors, I know the language, I know what they're looking for, and having those repeat clients call just randomly call me, hey Mark, I want to buy this property. That's fantastic. I've got a couple families that buy a bunch of properties, and they've used me 7 or 8 times. Just one family.
In fact, they'll call you up and say, hey, I want to buy this property. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's already
That's a
done.
good that's a good phone call to get.
But it will happen.
Like
It won't
$200,000
happen.
house in Northeast Philly, but they still pay, they still pay a commission.
And most of the investors are pre-qualified or they're using, personal funds or whatever. So it's the financing quite often is easier. I'm not saying there's not problems buying investment properties. There are, but it's nice to
It's
know
tricky.
that client can buy 2 or 3 next year as opposed to a retail person who won't buy again for 10 or 12 years.
What do you do like for marketing to, are you marketing to attract landlords? Is that mostly because you run a pretty big property management company, I believe.
Well, we do both. I mean, we obviously do marketing to attract potential clients, but we also market for tenants also. So we
Sure.
do
So,
both.
so I can't do that because I'm typically, I can't do that. I'm typically helping when I find say I got Roosh, a guy in New York, he's bought a couple different properties for me, and I help him with property management. So I did I did an open house for him. I did track like 15 people. None of them could buy a house. So I liked what you said, that trying to convert them into buyers eventually. That's a multi-year for some of these folks. It's multi-year process.
It's not like they're going to do it next week. So, but they will do it over the next, say, 10 years.
Yeah.
And
think-
for a relatively little amount of time, you can be nurturing them, sending out emails, videos, all kinds of stuff, and develop that relationship through relatively quick emails.
Okay.
But they will come back. And when they're ready, they'll raise their hand. And you want to be there when they raise their hand.
Okay. So
Well, you need to make sure that you keep in touch with them. Don't fall off a cliff, so that when they're ready, they know where you are.
Correct.
Any other questions for Mike while we have him as a captive presenter?
Quick question for you. Are you working with New York investors? Are you getting a lot more clients out of New York?
So not so much anymore. We did like 10 years ago. That was fairly popular, particularly in the Northeast Philly. They were all buying down there. But I would say over the last couple of years, we've not seen much of it. I mean, there's still some, but they all see our prices in Philadelphia and they're all excited. And then they kind of realize value is value and still hard to manage in Philadelphia as opposed to New York. But, they could buy something here for a third of what they cost up there.
Were you marketing directly 10 years ago? Were you marketing to folks in New York, or how did you? No, they just found you.
They would just find us through our various marketing sources.
Okay. I asked because I do have a lot of clients out in New York that are buying. That's a lot, like a handful. So I didn't know if I should, if you market directly to folks in New York, or if they just.
No, but it's a great idea. And for many years, I thought about doing some specific advertising in New York City, in that area. But I would recommend that, particularly if you've got some connections and some expertise in that area. I would definitely promote your services through Facebook or Facebook Marketplace and various other LinkedIn, and kind of try to develop some leads through that area.
Okay.
I mean, today you could put, for $100 or something, you could micro advertise within the city just for real estate investors.
All right. Well, thank you, Michael. We appreciate your time today. I'm going to stop the recording